The world came to know Georgie Henley as Lucy Pevensie in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but she's grown up since she left Narnia behind. From new film roles to theater, here's what she's been up to. It's hard to believe, but Georgie Henley nearly missed out on her breakout role in the Chronicles of Narnia. The actress told What's on Stage in 2018 that her school's drama teacher had landed her the initial audition, but it wasn't a guaranteed role. She shared, "My parents at one point took me out of the process because they had reservations about the whole experience. They'd heard about how it can corrupt young child actors, but my sisters talked them round." And the rest is history. However, it wasn't until the series came to an end in 2010 that Henley realized just how much her acting debut had impacted her life. She told The Telegraph at the time, "I've always had a guaranteed schedule with these films, and I always knew what I would be doing the following year. Now I don't know what I'll do. It's a safety net that I'll miss. I've grown up with Lucy, and she's been a huge part of my life." After wrapping production on the Chronicles of Narnia film series, Henley refocused her energy on her education. However, the actress's fame unfortunately made her the target of bullying during her grammar and secondary school days, which made her feel like she couldn't take theater classes at the time. She went on to study English literature at the prestigious Cambridge University, where her newfound anonymity was a big boost in her attempts to hone her craft and rebuild her confidence. She told Varsity in 2016, "Getting into Cambridge was a really big achievement for me because I've had to juggle studying and work commitments, and making the decision to go to university meant that I could only do projects I really wanted to do. I decided that for the 3 years I'm at Cambridge, I want to focus on experimentation, especially with theater, and take time out of professional work." Georgie Henley made the most of the years she spent at Cambridge University, soaking up knowledge and new experiences. However, when her studies were over and she graduated, Henley was ready to get back to acting professionally. She moved to London and put feelers out for auditions, but it wasn't that easy. It ended up taking another year and a half before she actually booked a role. She said on an Actor Despairs podcast, "I kind of felt like I had to start from scratch even though I wasn't." At the time, it felt hopeless, but looking back, Henley can pinpoint exactly what her problem was: her confidence.
I just didn't feel like I belonged in the industry anymore.
The Chronicles of Narnia star felt she was being affected by outside pressures and was overwhelmed about transitioning from a child star to an adult actor, not wanting to feed into the narrative of if you work as a child, you don't work as an adult. Henley eventually built her confidence back up and booked a role in the comedy drama Access All Areas, which is about a group of teens who run away to go to a festival on a remote island. Unfortunately, many child stars don't grow up to be successful and well-adjusted. As such, Henley used her platform to speak out on the unique pressures placed on children in Hollywood. She wrote in a thread on X in 2018, "When you've acted as a child and you continue to act as an adult, for some reason, people want you to fail. Remember, these are still children going through whatever they need to go through to become whatever they're going to be.
When you grow up, you should be just like you."
She concluded by saying that she had it relatively easy compared to child actors today because social media wasn't as prevalent when she shot to fame. She concluded, "I just feel very lucky that social media wasn't around when I was doing press junkets at 10 years old. And I'm so lucky that I have wonderful parents who put my happiness and well-being above any kind of professional ambition." After finishing the Narnia films, it seems that Henley has been picky about the film projects she's taken on and tended to hold out for the right parts. In 2014, she returned to the big screen with the crime drama Perfect Sisters, which wasn't a huge hit with critics. However, she received praise for her performance in The Sisterhood of Night the following year. Henley's ultimate post-Narnia strategy was to avoid being typecast by experimenting with different roles. Unfortunately, she found it surprisingly hard to find well-written roles for women. She told What's on Stage, "I do find it very difficult to find roles that I, as a woman, would want to see portrayed. 80% of the roles that I read, I just go, really? I'm lucky that Lucy was a character who was independent, confident, and entirely firm in her own convictions."
Not sure you've really been listening, Lou.
No, you're not listening. Or have you forgotten who really defeated the White Witch, Peter?
When Georgie Henley isn't acting, she occasionally keeps busy working behind the scenes as a writer or director. The actress first directed in 2016 with Tide, a short film that focuses on the relationship between a lesbian couple exploring their daily lives in a small seaside town. Writing has also been a lifelong interest of Henley's. She published her first poem, Common Ground, in 2018. This spurred the actor to pursue her poetry more seriously. Explaining her creative process to Country and Townhouse, Henley said, "I had a lot I wanted to say, and my world was expanding tenfold. At first, it was just something I did for myself, and then when the pandemic happened, I thought, I don't want to have any creative regrets. I want to be brave and take the leap and put them into the world. I feel like poetry can be an outstretched hand." In 2020, Henley had another poem, this one titled Blush, published in a poetry anthology by queer authors. The publishing company, 14 Poems, then released an exclusive collection of Henley's work in 2023. Titled Amphibian, the pamphlet of poems explores gender and the body. Sharing a peek inside the book on Instagram, Henley wrote, "Making this little green book has been such a labor of love, and I am so humbled and glad that it has resonated with people." Henley made her professional stage debut in the world premiere of Philip Ridley's play Angry in 2018. She described it to Theatre Weekly, saying, "It's a collection of monologues which focus on different ideas of anger, whether it's terrorism or self-loathing masquerading as tough love, or how we normalize violence." The production received mixed reviews, with The Guardian giving it just 2 stars out of 5. However, Henley's performance was praised by critics. What's on Stage's review read, "Henley's physical control and ability to construct countless individuals feels uncannily effortless." And for a performer making their professional stage debut, this no doubt bodes well for the future. The experience proved to be transformative for Henley, who grew more confident in her abilities as an actress. As she reflected on Instagram a year later, "I had no theatrical training or professional experience, and I'm so grateful to them for believing in me. We should always do what is scary and new and potentially impossible if we're going to learn and grow." While Georgie Henley devotes much of her time and energy to acting, writing, and directing, she's also an activist who advocates for issues close to her heart, including healthcare, poverty, and human rights. She's also highly engaged on social media, using platforms like X and Instagram to speak out on various social justice issues and to address her own mental health struggles with acceptance and self-esteem. Henley's activism has been fueled by the increasingly divisive socio-political state of world. She told Theatre Weekly in 2018, "I get angry about so many things I read in the news, but I think it's good to be angry. If we stop being angry about what's going on around us, then we normalize those injustices."
I wish I was braver.
If you were any braver, you'd be a lioness.
In 2018, Netflix announced plans to adapt the Chronicles of Narnia into its own film and TV series. As of November 2023, the project is still in the works, with Barbie director Greta Gerwig attached to write and direct. But don't expect to see Henley show up as an older character. She told Cinema Blend years ago that she was ready to leave Narnia behind, saying, "I'm very excited about what's to come, and I hope to be moving on to new things. But all good things come to an end. Also, Narnia has taught me everything I know about acting, and I wouldn't be anywhere without it." Despite moving on, Henley has remained close with her on-screen siblings, William Moseley, Anna Popplewell, and Skander Keynes. She told Varsity in 2016, "In terms of keeping in touch, we're all doing different things, but whenever we can see each other, we do. We spent so much time together that we genuinely are so close. It's great, I love them so much." Following a Pevensie family reunion in December 2018, Henley playfully captioned side-by-side snapshots of the 4 together with "older, wiser, still blurry." The HBO blockbuster series Game of Thrones ran for 8 seasons from 2011 to 2019, and to say it was popular would be an understatement. Unsurprisingly, HBO Max was keen to capitalize on its success, and a spin-off series was being workshopped before the battle for the Iron Throne had even concluded. In 2019, a pilot was filmed for the untitled spin-off which starred, among others, Georgie Henley. Thrilled to be a part of the series, Henley gushed on Instagram, "This still does not feel real, and I've been waiting for someone to tell me it's a joke. I'm so unbelievably grateful and excited and terrified." But unfortunately, the spin-off never amounted to anything. After spending $30 million on production, Max decided to pull the plug and eventually shifted its efforts to House of the Dragon. Nevertheless, filming the unaired pilot was a good learning experience for Henley, and exactly what she needed at that time in her career. Even though Henley's Game of Thrones spinoff didn't take flight, 2019 still marked her return to the small screen in a big way. The Chronicles of Narnia star let the world know she was ready for more adult drama when she took on the role of Margaret Meg Tudor in The Spanish Princess on Starz. Adapted from the work of author Philippa Gregory, The Spanish Princess tells the story of Catherine of Aragon, eventual wife to King Henry VIII. The series was praised for telling the story through a female lens rather than recounting male history. While speaking to Country and Townhouse, Henley expressed how important that was for her and how it makes the series more relatable. She explained, "It's so important to interrogate history in the accounts that were given and to excavate the stories which haven't been told before. I'm in all of the hoops these women had to jump through to be taken seriously, to balance motherhood and politics, to have their voices heard. I think so many women who watch the show will be able to relate to the task of juggling multiple responsibilities." Henley took a break from working in front of the camera during the COVID-19 pandemic, but returned to the small screen to star in 2 political series in 2023, The Diplomat and Partygate. The latter is a satirical docudrama that portrays snippets of the UK Conservative Party during the pandemic, fusing real political clips with fictional scenes.
Is there anything we don't have a party for?
Henley took on this more political role because she felt like the series really had something to say. She said in an interview with Polyester, "Partygate makes you time travel, almost like that first 10 minutes of it you're just instantly plunged back into where we all were at the time and what we were doing. But we have to be able to look back, even though it's really painful, because that's the only way that we can make decisions and hold people accountable." The actor later talked about how thrilled she was to be a part of the series on Instagram and urged her fans to check out the series, adding that it's meant to be a bit of an uncomfortable watch. Georgie Henley achieved a high level of professional success at an early age thanks to her role as Lucy in the Narnia films. But that doesn't mean she hasn't had problems over the years. Unfortunately for Henley, she contracted a rather nasty and rare disease called necrotizing fasciitis when she was 18. Although she didn't speak about it publicly at the time, in 2022, Henley shared her story on Instagram, explaining that she was lucky to have survived the infection. She wrote, "In order to prevent the amputation of my left hand and arm, I received grueling invasive surgery, and later extensive reconstructive surgery, which resulted in a series of skin grafts and scars." Scared that they would hold her back professionally, Henley hid her scars in public for years, but eventually realized that she had no reason to hide anything. She said in her Instagram post, "They are a map of the pain my body has endured, and most importantly, a reminder of my survival. They do not affect my capacity as an actor, and I'm proud to be a person who has visible scars in this industry." Despite having 383,000 followers on Instagram and over 60,000 on X as of December 2023, Georgie Henley has very little interest in social media and generally prefers to live her life offline. She told Country and Townhouse, "I try to hold it at a reasonable distance, but like anyone, can easily find myself going down an Instagram rabbit hole every now and again."
Cute. Oh my god, no, I look good.
Henley is actually relatively new to Instagram. In fact, she didn't set up her account until 2018 when she was making The Spanish Princess. When she does have a desire to check her socials, Henley tries to make it a positive experience. She said, "I make a conscious effort to only follow accounts that I find inspiring or nourishing or funny or thought-provoking. Nothing that's going to make me feel bad about myself." She's still convinced social media isn't something people need in their lives and said that any future children she has will be growing up with no social media until they're at least 16 years old. If you've been a fan of Georgie Henley since her Narnia days, then you might have noticed how her sense of style has changed over the years. Obviously, she's a lot older than 10 these days. When she attended press events and the premieres of the fantasy films, she typically wore conservative, feminine dresses. However, as she's gotten older, Henley's sense of style has evolved considerably. It's evident from her Instagram page and the photo shoot she participates in that she enjoys experimenting with her style and making bold fashion choices. Henley often opts for bold colors in her outfits and uses fashion to express herself. Henley is also an avid promoter of sustainable fashion, revealing that some of her favorite pieces in her wardrobe come from vintage fairs and secondhand sites. Speaking about her personal style during an interview with Square Mile, Henley gushed about one of her favorite pieces of clothing, a vintage navy aqua scutum coat. She added, "I feel genuinely powerful in a good coat. It's like armor. Plus, this one functions equally well as a blanket for impromptu naps on the go." It's hard to believe little Lucy from the Chronicles of Narnia is nearly 30, especially since Henley's skin is just as youthful and glowing as ever. So how does the actor keep her skin looking fresh? Well, a strict skincare regime, of course. The star admitted to Country and Townhouse, "I'm a total skincare nut. I went through a stage of having quite bad skin when I left university, so I have to stay on top of a regime to keep everything in check." However, she doesn't like to overdo it, saying she prefers to keep it simple, saying that her routine is just vitamin C, moisturizer, and lashings of SPF 50. Georgie Henley has made it very clear that she's open to pursuing all kinds of creative opportunities as her career develops, and she certainly doesn't want to end up being typecast. In terms of acting, Henley wants to explore all avenues, especially genres like sci-fi and romance, which she's done very little of so far. Additionally, Henley told Square Mile that she wants to be a creator moving forward, whether that is in front or behind the camera, or away from the screen altogether. She said, "I want to create my own work, to write and direct. I love acting, but there's something to be said for being with a story from its genesis and having agency over how it's told. To me, acting and writing and directing go hand in hand. As for what she wants to create, that's a work in progress." But Henley did tell Polyester that everything she's working on has to relate with the queer experience. With Henley's talent and passion, it's bound to be good, whatever it is.